Frequently, you'll want to show content on top of imagery, particularly icons or text. When doing so, you'll need to ensure that it is clear and legible. This is especially important for dynamic content when you don't know exactly what the color or how complicated the image will be. For example, with this dark image, we can see the title text and the share icon. But if the image given to us is light, the title and icon get somewhat lost. For the overlaid icon, we can use a subtle shadow on the image to separate it from the background. So here we've added a subtle dark shadow to the white icon so that it's visible even if the content behind is similarly colored. For text, adding shadows are possible, but it can make the text itself somewhat harder to read. A better approach is to use what we call a scrim. Now this is a semi-transparent layer between the image and the text to help provide contrast and legibility. Here we're using a gradient scrim which goes from 30% opaque black at the bottom to complete transparency. The black gives enough contrast for the overlaid white text to be readable. Let's take a look at this scrim from an angle, giving you a clearer representation of what's going on. Now the gradient sits on top of the image, but below the overlaid text. We could have used a solid block of color rather than a gradient, which would reduce the overall impact on the image, but the sudden change can be distracting. You should tune the size of your scrim and the opacity values to get the best legibility without distracting from the image. To implement this technique, we can use a gradient drawable placed on top of an image view. So here we're creating a gradient, and it's going to fade from this color here, which is 30% opaque black at the bottom, to completely transparent at the center and top. We can then use a frame layout to stack our views. First, we place the image view at the back to display the picture. Next, we place a view which has that scrim drawable we just created set as its background. And then finally, we place a text view on top of it, which is going to draw the text here at the bottom. So don't be afraid of layering content on top of imagery. It can be a great effect for creating immersive apps. Do, however, be careful to make sure that it's always legible.